Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
It was a big battle here in federal court, but today, finally, a huge victory for the city of Flint.
Clouds taking off, but they're not going to be gone long. Find out when they'll return and what they'll be bringing with them.
Okay, Ben, but first, 2 bodies found inside a burning home on Detroit's west side, and police say this was no accident. Thanks for being with us for the news at 5. Those 2 bodies police discovered also had multiple gunshot wounds, leading them to believe the fire was an attempted cover-up.
We now know the identities of both victims, 24-year-old Mariah Raznick and 26-year-old Andy Maldonado. Coco McAvoy spoke with the victims' families, and she joins us now with more on what we're learning. Coco?
Devin and Kimberly, family members say Andy Maldonado was a hard-working man and that Mariah Raznick was a loving mother and had a child on the way. So family members are just devastated after finding out that both were shot and killed.
I was terrified to find out that, yes, it was him.
Alicia Maldonado says she got the devastating news this morning that her nephew, Andy Maldonado, and his girlfriend, Mariah Raznick, were killed.
What happened that they ended up disappearing. Next thing you know, they end up in a whole different side of town.
Police say Maldonado and Raznick had been missing for a couple of days. After their disappearance, Raznick's apartment was set on fire. Arson investigators searched through debris.
They discovered some spent casings and some fired bullets and some blood.
Police found Raznick's van also torched. Then they were called to a fire at an abandoned house on Medetol Street.
We discovered the 2 victims inside the back door.
Maldonado's brother and cousin say their family is grieving the loss of Maldonado and Raznick.
And they never did nothing bad to no one.
We didn't just lose a brother, we lost a sister too.
Police are working to find out why this happened, and family wants to know the same.
The ones that are left without answers are the parents. And whoever did it, have a conscience. The Lord is up there and he knows what's going on.
And something else to note, police say that one of Raznick's relatives was convicted in the homicide of a Detroit firefighter, but they do not believe that that is connected to these 2 homicides. Reporting live this afternoon, I'm Coco McAvoy, Local 4, back to you.
Well, Coco, are they talking about where they are on any leads right now?
So police say that both Raznick and Maldonado were in gangs. They don't know how active they were at this time, if they were still in the gang, but they were affiliated at one time. They also say that a witness did see 2 men in a black SUV drive away from the fire scene on Medetol Street, and that they're looking at surveillance video, so they're hoping that will lead to some answers.
Let's hope so. All right, Coco. Well, let's get to a major development in the Flint water crisis as a courtroom battle over money and aid comes to an end.
Yeah, and today in federal court here in Detroit, a settlement was reached, and the details of the deal, I should say, could be a big game changer for Flint. So let's get out to consumer investigator Hank Winchester. He's live outside the courthouse, and Hank, this means a lot of money will be headed there.
Yeah, we're talking about millions of dollars. In fact, almost $90 million. This battle has been going on in federal court here in downtown Detroit for more than a year now. But today, an agreement, and it means good news for Flint. A major victory for the city of Flint and for those who've been living throughout the water crisis for almost 3 years now.
Flint has done something that no other city has done. We have a 3-year time period to get every single poisonous lead and galvanized line out of the ground. This is a first. This is history making, and this is because of the hard work of Flint residents and the support of our advocates, our attorneys, and the die-hard commitment to make sure that Flint gets back where we were.
This legal battle all began more than a year ago. The Concerned Pastors for Social Action, the ACLU, and others going after the state demanding money and help. Well, today, a deal. Roughly $90 million will be making its way to Flint. A big chunk of that cash will be used to replace almost 18,000 damaged pipes in the vehicle city.
Because our own leaders ignored those laws, told us our water was safe when they knew it wasn't, and refused to hold anyone accountable, we took matters into our own hands. We went to court to enforce the law and fight for the residents of Flint.
The big money won't solve all the problems, but it will make a dramatic difference in Flint. Some worry that this agreement does not protect water distribution in the city long term. In fact, some water distribution centers could close this fall. There's already talk that some of those water distribution sites could fold, possibly even as early as May. Some people asking, when is this money going to make its way to Flint? Well, the answer is it will make its way to Flint very soon. This agreement getting high praise today, not only from the governor, but also from the mayor. We're live here downtown. Back to you.
And Hank, do we know if that money will be used in any other way, perhaps for education programs?
It will, Kimberly. Not all 90 million or roughly 87 million is going to be used for the pipes. There will be nutrition programs, educational programs. They really say that they hope this could be a major game changer for the problems in Flint.
Absolutely. Money desperately needed there. Okay. Hank, thanks for the update. Devin?
This morning, President Trump teased a big announcement from Ford on Twitter. He wrote this: big announcement by Ford today. Major investment to be made in 3 Michigan plants, car companies coming back to U.S., jobs, jobs, jobs. Then later this morning, Ford made it official. They are pouring a combined $1 billion into 2 plants, the Michigan Assembly plant down in Wayne and the Romeo engine plant. Let's bring in Rod Maloney, who is at Ford World headquarters. And Rod, that is not all of the investment.
Right, there is other investment in there too, and it's newer investment, so we can talk about that. But let's face it, auto companies have to change in many ways. They have to build the vehicles people want. They have to deal with the changing market conditions of the business. They also have to deal with changing technology, and that's what Ford is doing here. But this is a politicized environment now, so let's see if we can sort out the news from the announcement. The Michigan Assembly plant in Wayne's made the Ford focus for more than a decade now, and it's about to ship the vehicle downriver to Flat Rock in the big announcement they made earlier this year. Replacing the focus on this assembly line is going to be the yet as unseen new Ford Bronco coming in 2020 and the Ranger due in 2019. You build new vehicles, you need new engines, and they're going to build those at the Romeo engine plant. Ford's president of the Americas, Joe Heinrich, says, yes, that was all part of the 2015 national UAW contract negotiations.
The investment dollars are bigger than they were in 2015 contracts. So originally estimated $700 million, it's now $850 million. Romeo engine plants consistent with the UAW contract negotiations of 130 jobs. $150 million.
But the unexpected and exciting part of this announcement is a $200 million advanced data center to go onto Flat Rock's campus. Ford not saying how many new jobs it'll bring, but it's more than a handful.
The $200 million for the Flat Rock data center, that's new. It wasn't contemplated back then. Now there's a decision made in the last 6-9 months.
That center is to support the future needs of much higher tech cars and trucks.
It's actually encouraging to see so much new investment and new interest in the auto industry as a result of all this technology. At the end of the day, it's going to end up being better for consumers, and that'll be better for everybody.
Now, Ford could have put this advanced technology center anywhere in the world. They could have gone to Mexico, they could have gone to India, they could have gone anywhere. They said they wanted it here for a couple of reasons. One, they have vast amounts of data that they have to be able to crunch going forward. They have a center here at the world headquarters, but they want one close by. And so they went with Flat Rock because they can't put them in one spot for security purposes, but they wanted it nearby. So Flat Rock became the place where they decided to put it. Back to you.
Yeah, all of this data that's going to be coming out of these connected vehicles is really fascinating, Rod. But when did Ford first speak to the president then about this announcement, since he was the one that tweeted it out?
Yes. Now you'll remember that the tweet came out early this morning, like about 6 or 7 a.m. And that was before Ford called him. Ford called him, they say, around 8 o'clock in the morning. But the story had gotten out last night. It was online last night. So clearly he was well aware of it and tweeted it out first thing this morning.
All right, Rod. Well, after a bitter cold start to spring, temperatures may finally start getting its act together.
Yeah, let's get over to Ben right now. And is it safe to say that spring has sprung here, Ben?
Yeah, I think so, Kim and Devin. It's very consistent what we're going to see here in the next several days. Very typical of March, which is something we haven't been for most of this month. Clouds taking off, so we're finally getting some clearing skies. Not completely sun-filled, but you look out here at Mount Clemens, and at least we're getting breaks in those clouds and starting to see the sunshine on some of the buildings out there. Temperatures, again, very close to average out there tonight, but when we see our overnight lows, it will be the coldest in several days. We'll look at those lows. Bright start to tomorrow, not going to last all day. We'll talk about timing on the sunshine and somewhat wet on Thursday, but that's not all going to be liquid. We'll look at that and some possible snowflakes for Thursday coming up, guys.
Well, so much for spring being fully in line. All right, now to Ann Arbor, where there is a bank robber on the loose.
Yeah, the robbery happened at the Comerica Bank at Washtenaw and Huron Park about 2:45 this afternoon. Police say the suspect entered the bank and claimed to have a bomb before running off with cash. The suspect was last seen wearing a white-collared jacket, dark pants, and sunglasses. The search for answers continues this afternoon after a newborn baby's body is found in a trash can on Detroit's east side. A 39-year-old woman showed up to the hospital Sunday night complaining of cramps and bleeding. Doctors determined she had recently given birth, but there was no baby in sight. So later that night, police found the body of a newborn baby in a trash bin in that woman's backyard. At this point, no charges have been filed. Police continue, though, to investigate. A 3-year-old boy is okay after police found him wandering around Detroit.
Yeah, police found the boy earlier this afternoon in the area of West Grand Boulevard in Delaware. After making some calls, they determined the boy had wandered away from a daycare center on 2nd Avenue. The boy's parents have been notified. No word yet on how he escaped, but no doubt a lot of questions are being asked tonight. Well, it's only a 6-second video posted on Snapchat, but it has had Detroiters buzzing, or hopping if you prefer.
The question is, was there really a kangaroo spotted on the city's west side?
We'll have more coming up in a minute. Also, a 6-year-old killed after the car she was in slams into a tree. Why police have many more questions than answers when it comes to how this happened. Mara.
I'm Mara McDonald. For the first time since this rape scandal has broken, MSU football coach Mark Dantonio speaks, and he's got plenty to say.
As the new at 6.
When the state police and the FBI raid your house, you probably don't want to say a whole lot.
You know, I've worked really hard to sort of build a good reputation and maintain it in the community.
And State Senator Burt Johnson has some things to say, and he says it to us here at Local 4 News.
The shooting was an accident, the result of some very bad judgment.
You are not responsible gun owner. You're not a responsible CPL holder if children gain access to your weapon.
How that bad judgment could send one local dad to prison.
Well, for the first time since the scandal broke, Michigan State head football coach Mark Dantonio is addressing the multiple investigations into sex assault involving both players and members of his staff.
Here's where things stand right now. The case is in the hands of the Ingham County Prosecutor's Office. We know 3 players and 1 staff member have been suspended while that investigation is ongoing. The university has also launched its own Title IX investigation. We bring in Mara McDonald. Dantonio wasn't expected to really talk about this, Mara.
Well, you know, usually, Devin, this press conference is about the spring football game, about the roster, about who's going to be the quarterback. Not today.
I think to stand up here and talk about who's going to be our quarterback right now is trivial.
A grim Mark Dantonio got up and addressed the press for the first time since the scandal broke in February. 3 of his players and 1 staffer have been suspended while multiple investigations into a rape claim are being investigated.
The allegations are something we're extremely concerned about here. I think we've acknowledged that fact as we've gone through this.
Sources close to the investigation tell us a female co-ed says that 3 of the players raped her on campus back in January. None of them have been charged yet, but we can tell you 2 are from Detroit and 1 is from out of state. The investigation has also seen Curtis Blackwell, the program's director of college advancement and performance, suspended. Dantonio says, no question, the scandal has affected the entire team.
My goal in coming here was always to foster a program where there was accountability, that there was integrity, and that there was class in everything that we tried to do.
Back here live tonight, those players remain on suspension. We're waiting for the Ingham County Prosecutor's Office to make a charging decision in this case. We're live downtown. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
All right, Mara. Well, I don't know about you, but one of the first things in Australia you would want to find out, you would go look for a kangaroo, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You might not have to go that far. Maybe.
Yeah, they're closer than you might think. Take a look here. This is a viral Snapchat video posted Tuesday night of a man walking, or actually running, a kangaroo on a leash down Birchcrest Drive in Detroit. There's no word on how or why the kangaroo is there. The Detroit Zoo has not put out any alerts or anything that they have a missing kangaroo.
No missing kangaroo notices have been released.
unbelievable.
I don't know.
Our producer, Timmy French, says that maybe it's an animatronic kangaroo. It looks pretty real,
looks pretty real, pretty lively.
It is hard enough to get a dog to go to the bathroom outside. Can you imagine trying to deal with that every day?
Kangaroo. Then do you pick it up afterward? And
yeah, well,
you're a responsible kangaroo owner.
Well, maybe it's a wallaby. It's a little small for a kangaroo. What do you think? Maybe I don't know.
I'll look at it
so
again.
if you're the owner of said marsupial, why don't you send us a message through Facebook or click on Detroit, because we're really wondering. Yeah.
I've got no answers on that. I do have some sunshine. We are finally getting it in here after a day full of clouds. You can see how that clearing line continues to advance to the south. Most of the Great Lakes got in on it before us, especially on the other side of Lake Michigan. That's where the warmest temperatures have been. You can see up in Minneapolis, 64 is where they sit right now. But with those clouds around down here to the south, 49 is as good as we have gotten so far. It's actually been a little bit warmer in Alpena, where again, they get in on the sunshine just before us at 51. So looking outside in downtown Detroit, you can see a few breaks in those clouds out there right now. A little bit of a north wind at 8, and that's going to stay with us tonight. That's also going to help temperatures from really cratering as we clear these skies out. So we are anticipating just average lows, but it's still, as we told you, going to be one of the coldest mornings that we have seen in the last several. By the way, as clouds clear out tonight, good opportunity to go see the space station outside. 9:07 is when this is going to show up. So look low in the southwest sky. It's going to be out for 5 minutes, and then it's going to disappear to the east-northeast. So the way this clearing line's moving, we should have a good view of it as we get towards 9 o'clock tonight. So set your phones and go outside and check it out. As we look at the forecast tonight, clear skies going into tomorrow, and that's the way we will start at least the first half of the day, but the clouds are coming right back as we get to this time tomorrow. They're not going to lead to precipitation until we get into Thursday, but watch what happens as this moisture gets here. Look at that blue stuff showing up there, at least in our north zone, and that's before lunch on Thursday, so there could be some wet snowflakes out there. This eventually, though, will turn to all rain for everybody. Not going to see any accumulation out of this, but by 8 o'clock, you can see that just about everybody, except maybe for Huron County, is seeing liquid, and that's going to continue through Friday morning. And then we'll finally dry out and set the stage for a pretty nice weekend ahead. 34 tonight, skies becoming clear, and again, because of that wind, just enough of it, I think everybody stays in the 30s for lows tonight. High temperatures will be a little bit more of a range tomorrow. Metro zone highs are going to be right around 50 degrees, couple upper 40s here once you get north of 8 Mile. South zone tomorrow, coldest near Lake Erie with that wind coming out the north-northeast, 47 here in Monroe and Luna Pier. And then the further inland you get, looking for low 50s out there in Lenawee County. West zone highs anywhere between 48 in Flint and 51 down in Manchester and Chelsea. And Lake Huron also having an effect with Lexington and Port Huron right around 40, and inland areas in the mid-40s tomorrow. Highs slightly cooler with that rain on Thursday. Then we rebound just a little bit going into the upcoming weekend. Sunshine there for Saturday and Sunday, and we'll be back close to 60. If you're walking your kangaroo.
Or running your kangaroo.
Aussie weather, they'd be fine.
All right, Ben. Hey there, Doc.
Hey there, it's the video game that could help keep older adults from getting a common and often debilitating injury. How it works and why it's showing real promise. That's ahead in Good Health.
All right, Frank, but first, police say she even planned how she would die. How a father uncovered a potentially deadly threat at this Maryland high school, that it was stopped before it almost happened. That's next.
Hi, I'm Mike.
In Maryland, a potential school massacre was stopped thanks to a very brave parent.
Put yourself in his situation here. Police say 18-year-old Nicole Severio had detailed a well-developed plan in her diary on how she wanted to bomb her school on April 5th. In the diary, Severio even talked about how she planned to kill herself in the process. But the attack was stopped because of Severio's father, who found the plans and turned them over to police.
I was pretty smart of him, I mean, and brave.
Very scary for him, but obviously the right thing to do.
Severio was transported to the hospital where she is undergoing some psychiatric testing. Once she's out, though, she'll be charged with possessing explosives and intending to build bombs. Across Michigan, we're following stories from Kent County and up in Charlevoix.
But we want to start in Mount Morris Township. That's just outside of Flint. And that's where a pellet shattered the window of a bus carrying about 20 students. Police say the bus had just left from Burton Glen Charter Academy when the glass shattered the back window. The 20 students were immediately placed on a different bus. Police are now reviewing surveillance tape to see if they can find out who shot the pellet. Fortunately, nobody was hurt.
In Kent County, a serial home invader has apparently been caught. Police say 19-year-old Troy Ritsema is responsible for a handful of home invasions in Gaines and Byron townships, and that's just over the past couple of days. Ritsema is charged with 2 counts of first-degree home invasion and possession of burglary tools. If convicted, he could face up to 20 years in prison. If you're planning to drive anywhere near Charlevoix the next 12 days, you might want to rethink it.
Absolutely. A $2 million repair project on the city's drawbridge started Monday. So during the construction, the city's bridge over lake outlet will be closed every night. You can't change your plans. If you can't change your plans and really need to cross the lake, you still can. But listen to this. It'll take a 67-mile detour.
Oh.
Yeah, the city's manager says the detour will take well over an hour and advises anyone trying to get across the lake to travel during the day. I'll say. Surely they have emergency kind of plans in place in case there's something.
That is more than a detour. We thought the one was bad down on 75. Wow.
Downriver, yeah.
Back with more in just a minute, Kevin.
New at 5:30.
New documentary about white boy Rick Wershe has Detroit buzzing leading up to Friday's premiere.
There are people who are still in power who are very much players in this story.
The FBI, a big-time drug dealer, a hitman, and the media share their knowledge of the incarceration of a teenage police informant turned drug dealer.
Talk about making memories on prom night?
We all saw it, and he said it was at a bonfire, and I said, I think so. And I said, well, let's turn around just in case.
The heroic thing these teens did after the dance let out, and it has nothing to do with the after party.
A memorial is now in the spot where 6-year-old Maya was killed in a car crash this morning. How family and friends describe the little girl and where police stand in the investigation.
Mr. Rufus. Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5:30 starts now.
A 6-year-old killed after the car she was in slams into a tree. And now police are left with so many questions as to why this tragedy happened. And it tops our news at 5:30. That little girl's 1-year-old brother was injured in that crash.
And now police are working this hour to try to find out exactly what caused it. The crash happened early this morning on Edmore Street. That's right in the area of 8 Mile and Gratiot on the city's east side. 25-year-old Antonia Tisdale was driving when she lost control and hit a tree. Coco McAvoy has been speaking with family and friends and joins us now live from the scene. Coco, do we have any kind of update on the mother and son's condition?
Karen and Devin, we do have an update on the mother and son's condition. The mother is in fair condition at the hospital, and the 1-year-old boy is in stable condition. And there's now a memorial set up in the spot where the crash happened this morning. And I've been in contact with family and friends all day who are just devastated, and they say they cannot believe that little Maya is gone.
I was in shock. I was like shaking. I couldn't believe it. Like, I could not believe it.
Sierra Walton is a longtime friend of Antonia Tisdale, so she was devastated to hear Tisdale's daughter, 6-year-old Maya, was killed in the crash this morning.
Everybody who knew Maya loved her, like everybody. She was an outgoing person. She wasn't shy. Everybody who knew her loved her.
Police say Tisdale was driving down Edmore Street when she lost control and struck a tree. Tisdale and her 1-year-old son were taken to the hospital, but Maya did not survive.
It's like I've been crying all day, but when that's why I've been hesitating to go to the hospital, because I just know I'm gonna break down.
Walton says yesterday the family was celebrating Tisdale's birthday.
She was having a little celebration at her house yesterday.
As police try to piece together what caused Tisdale to crash this morning, family and friends are left to deal with the fact that Maya is gone.
It's just sad. It's just so sad. I just can't believe that it happened. I just really can't believe Maya gone. Like, she didn't even have a chance. They said she didn't even have a chance. She only 6 years old.
It's just heartbreaking, and family members really wanted people to know that Maya was an outgoing person, a loving child, just so full of life. And they're having a candlelight vigil in this spot where the crash happened at 7 o'clock tonight. Reporting live this afternoon, I'm Coco McAvoy, Local 4.
All right, heartbreaking. Thank you, Coco. Devin?
Well, now to another very busy day in Washington. Just a short time ago, President Trump signed a sweeping executive order that will curb the government's enforcement of climate change regulations. But still, the investigation into alleged Russian hacking of the elections continues to dominate the headlines, too. Blaine Alexander has it covered for us from Washington. Blaine?
Well, Devin, the chairman says that he can and is running this investigation fairly, but some members of his own committee disagree. On Capitol Hill, the calls are growing louder.
Are you going to recuse yourself from this investigation, sir?
Excuse me.
Is that a no?
House Intelligence Committee Chair Devin Nunes, a Republican, facing questions from both sides as to whether he can lead a fair investigation into Russian election tampering and possible ties to the Trump campaign.
Well, I think you put his objectivity in question at the very least. I think he has to repair the damage.
Nunes is facing two issues, having announced the president and his team may have been caught in U.S. surveillance, then revealing just this week that he got that information while on White House grounds, raising questions about its source.
Everything is unusual about this. I mean, it is profoundly inappropriate, to say the very least, what has happened.
Today, former Acting Attorney General Sally Yates, along with former intelligence officials James Clapper and John Brennan, were set to testify before the committee on Russia. But last Friday, Nunes postponed the hearing.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
The president himself ignoring questions, but tweeting overnight, Trump-Russia story is a hoax, a point forcefully repeated by the White House today.
If the president puts Russian salad dressing on his salad tonight, somehow that's a Russian connection.
Despite confidence from his own party,
Chairman Nunes is doing an outstanding job.
Democrats, led by committee ranking member Adam Schiff, now pushing harder for Nunes to recuse himself from the Russia investigation. And when Nunes was asked today by a reporter whether he would stay on as chairman and continue to run this investigation, he responded, "Why would I not?" In Washington, Blaine Alexander, Local 4.
All right, Blaine, also today, both of the Michigan senators, Democrats Debbie Stabenow and Gary Peters, announced that they will vote no on the confirmation of Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch. Well, yesterday, Ben showed us Hurricane Debbie that was bearing down on Australia.
It looked like a pretty scary scenario unfolding. So the question is, how much of an impact did the storm have? Let's toss it over to Ben to see the very latest.
Well, even though this storm has made landfall, we're still sort of learning the damage that it did. It was a tropical cyclone, as they call them down under, hitting Australia's northeast coast as a Category 4 hurricane with wind gusts of over 160 miles per hour. That storm uprooted trees, it tore down fences, knocked out power to thousands. The state disaster coordinator in Queensland is calling the damage significant destruction in some areas. And when you look at it just from the satellite perspective, you can see why. Up here from the bird's eye view in space, there it is. And yesterday at this time, we were seeing the eye that was very evident there on the satellite. And then once it hit the mainland there, the terrain just sort of tore it up. But it was enough to do some significant damage. Of course, Category 4 storm, whether you call it a hurricane or a cyclone, it's still the same thing. And they're going to have a lot of cleaning up to do as they clean up from the remnants of Debbie.
It's weirdly thrilling to see that classic cloud pattern, but that is a reminder when it's that classic, it's that bad.
Yes, especially when you can see that pinpoint eye.
Thank you, Ben. Well, 3 young people are now being hailed as heroes for saving a disabled woman from her burning home.
While on their way back from prom, it happened Saturday in Bruton, Alabama. 63-year-old Marilyn Mize says she was alone when she saw flames growing in her house. Flames also caught the attention of an 18-year-old and his 22-year-old date and a 23-year-old cousin, and that trio quickly jumped into action.
We all saw it, and he said it was at a bonfire, and I said, I think so. And I said, well, let's turn around just in case.
I was already on the phone with 911 at that moment whenever we were turning around.
The group helped the 63-year-old who uses a walker and a wheelchair to get around. They helped her out of her home and to get to safety. They also put a hose to the fire until firefighters arrived to take it over. Not just another prom night in Alabama.
Pretty courageous.
Yeah. Well, now to good health. The number of older adults who suffer serious injuries from falls is on the increase.
So researchers are trying something pretty new here to prevent falls by putting seniors in front of computers to play a game.
Yeah.
Dr. Frank McGeorge joins us now to explain how this works.
Well, Karen and Devin, this is actually pretty interesting. Now, many older adults have turned to brain training games and computer programs hoping to stave off dementia. But honestly, the science and research into that, it's not overwhelming. But this is a different application of brain training, sharpening focus to help balance.
4,
2, 1.
Digit by digit, Chuck Blankenship says he feels more alert.
7, 9.
Most of the time.
5. Oh, guys, I missed that one too. So it's not as easy as it looks.
The 79-year-old is playing a computer brain game aimed at making people sharper.
I said good. I don't know, it didn't wasn't great probably.
But for 2 years, Chuck has been using the game for a different purpose, to see if it can prevent him from falling.
I just walked right off the curb.
2 years ago, before brain training, Chuck had 2 falls within 6 weeks.
Well, next thing I knew, my head was up here, my legs are up in the air. I hit the back of my head.
Now he's part of a new study to see if brain games can retrain the brains of seniors to prevent falls.
We can have the connections rewire around areas. If a neuron gets lost or shrinks and isn't working as well, then we can actually sort of create bypasses. Ready?
Ready?
Go.
The researchers use sensors to measure sway and wobbling to see if the brain game helps.
Actually, balance improves significantly in the pilot study.
And day by day, Chuck says he's becoming more aware of his surroundings.
My cognitive skills are starting to take effect. And I can remember what I did 2 days ago.
Now, while interesting and promising, this research is very preliminary. So before you invest in brain games, start with the basics. Be open to learning new things, stay social, and stay physically active. Those have all been shown to improve cognition as well as overall health.
We separate them out a lot, but maybe there's more connection. I mean, it would make sense that they were connected in the end.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I think if you're paying more attention to your surroundings, you're going to have a more likely chance that you're not going to fall, that you're going to see things in your way or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, it's all part of the whole spectrum of awareness and physical activity.
And it can't hurt anything by doing those practices.
No, it's not going to hurt.
So you might as well just give it a try.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Well, this has been a real talk about, at least for me, I'm telling everybody about this story. Tesla founder Elon Musk betting on a wild new business.
How he's working to get computers to be able to tap into your brain.
Fascinating. Also, producers of a Scottish reality show in huge trouble tonight. What they didn't do that left the show's contestants in the lurch for months. Kevin.
I just finished watching the new documentary White Boy, and it is powerful. I'll have a preview of the latest effort to free Rick Wershe from prison.
Coming up tomorrow morning on Local 4 News Today, is your family suffering from what's called a word gap?
Dr. Burt Johnson is going to explain the simple steps that you can take to close the word gap and how it could help your kids for years to come. That's coming up for Wellness Wednesday at 5:50.
And always, weather and traffic on the 4s. Detroit mornings start here from 4:30 to 7 a.m.
We'll see you Wednesday morning.
New at 6.
Almost that time of year again. Gas prices are going up. Why you'll see prices rising and what you can do to offset the cost. That's at 6.
Plus a way to shorten labor, what doctors can do to get the process going and reduce the risk of cesarean sections.
Well, white boy Rick Wershe in the spotlight. Hollywood is preparing to tell his story. Books are in the works. Now there's a brand new documentary hitting screens, and defender Kevin Dietz is playing a pivotal role in that. He was a teenage drug kingpin, we were told. He's now spent, though, more time behind bars than any other non-violent juvenile offender in the history of Michigan.
Of course, we're talking about Rick Wershe, and his story has captured the nation's attention. And now a new documentary is shedding light on what really happened. So let's get to defender Kevin Dietz. He joins us now live. And Kevin, you played a big role in this film.
Well, we allowed this production company access to our news archives, and in the final product, they ended up using a lot of Local 4's news footage and a lot of our exclusive interviews with Rick Wershe from behind prison walls. I got a chance to see the full documentary, and it makes a strong case that Wershe should be released from prison. The defenders tag along with the film crew as they capture scenes of the Motor City. They're shooting a documentary which, unlike the Hollywood movie being filmed, uses the actual people involved to tell the story. Greg Schwartz was the FBI agent who used Rick Wershe as an informant.
The legend of White Boy Rick is just not true.
Johnny Curry was a major drug dealer when Wershe was arrested.
I'm a 10. I say he was about a 2.
Boone Kraft, who was a hitman responsible for multiple drug murders.
He wanted us to make sure that we kill White Boy Rick, but we got to make sure that it don't lead back to no one.
And members of the local media, including Chris Hansen and myself. Sean Reck is the producer of the documentary.
I can tell you from the material we have that people around the country and around the world are going to get very upset
with what happened in Detroit.
It opens this Friday and runs through the weekend as part of the Free Press Film Festival. All of the interviews with Richard Wershe in the movie come from the Local 4 News archives. Rec hopes a national distributor will release the film.
People are going to be aghast when they see this story nationally, and it's going to shine light on Detroit.
The documentary calls Wershe, who was arrested at 17 and is still locked up 28 years later for selling drugs, a political prisoner. Rec has followed local news stories about Rick Wershe's release efforts.
Kim Worthy stepping out of the way is a big step. The parole board reevaluating this case soon would be a big step, and the governor paying a little more attention to this case would be a big step.
And he's okay with the idea of his film forcing the issue.
The message throughout the movie is that this sentence is grossly disproportionate.
And the opening of this movie comes right as the parole board is making a huge decision in the Rick Wershe case. On April 19th, they are going to vote whether or not to give him a public hearing. He needs 6 of the 10 board members to vote in favor of a public hearing for there to be one. And that would take place probably in June or July if they vote yes. Kevin Dietz, Defenders.
So, Kevin, if the board does vote and gives him that hearing, what happens next?
Well, then it'll get busy. In June or July, people in favor of his release will be allowed to testify, and people who think he should still be in prison will be allowed to testify. Then the board will look at all of that and decide whether or not to finally release him. His last public hearing was in 2003, and the parole board voted not to let him out at that time.
All right, will be interesting to see what happens next. Thank you, Kevin.